Welcome back to Trinity 7 Anime Review Part 3. This one discussing the last 4 episodes of the anime, well, of the main series anyways, episodes 9 through 12. Yes, I do know that there's a few things coming after this. There's an OVA that comes right after the series ends, and 2 films. Those will be discussed in later videos. This one discussing the last 4 episodes aired for the main TV show. Now, the thing is, the TV show, by the time we get to the last episode, they adapted the first 30 chapters out of presumably about 120 chapter manga. Which, okay. Now, in case you're wondering if any changes, mind you, not really, no. They do, in fact, do a couple times in this series where they cut chapters in half, or where they adapt half a chapter one episode, and then finish the next episode all doing other ones. Now, for these last, the thing is, for episode 9, it covers, technically in a way, episodes 21 and 23. Now, these last 4 episodes cover 10 chapters apiece. 10 chapters overall. But in the case of the way the manga is presented, it covers chapters 20 to 29. Yes, that's how far, basically, the anime got to, which... that's not surprising. It seems like a lot of anime that are basically based on manga that I've seen that the last for sometimes for 12 episodes will only get to like the first 30 chapters or at least 35, 36-ish, and they just stop. Some of them only reach adapting chapter 40. Now, I forgot to mention basically when I discussed the series originally. Now, this series initially aired, it started back in October of 20 in December 2014, yes. Lasted about a little over 3 months. Actually, like a little over 2 months. And it basically finished concluding, as of this month, 6 years ago. And, well, they have adapted a little bit of the manga, even after that, for basically a second movie. But in the case of adapted for the show, like, what happens in these episodes? Well, in the case of episodes 9 and 10, it's a quick 2-parter. Though that leads into the last couple episodes of the series, because basically what they do is that they kind of split in half the chapters. They did that for chapter 26, where they split in half, or adapted half of the chapter for episode 10, and finished adapting for episode 11. Yes. Now, the first half is simply put basically explaining the whole, other dimensional stuff. Yes. Now, there's no... basically, they do an explanation of exactly what happened to the school. And it turns out that Hijri was actually a woman named Ilia, basically the Ilia fragment. She's the second grimoire that was basically owned by Hijri. And they basically fight her over the course of about a couple episodes. Basically, it's just, Arya, Lilith, Mira, and Inko, and they fight in the ruined school that was the Western Academy. And this fight lasts for a pretty good period. Like, first they have a brief fight, and they have a rematch for later, and of course turns out it's not really her, it's just the woman. And then all of a sudden something really odd happens. Aaron shows up completely out of nowhere to save them from being killed by the grimoire. Yes, apparently, according to her, her husband, aka Arden, activated an ability to allow her to teleport from the school to there, thus basically bring Arden, his backup, basically having 50% of the Trinity 7, basically 4 as members. There to, now as for the other 3, 2 at the school, the other one's locked in their dimension. Yeah, that's what happened to Lisa. She got locked in a dimension, so she does able to get out. I will explain that a bit. And they're able to actually beat the grimoire, but they can't exactly escape the world just yet. So they don't want to destroy this fake world. This is similar to bringing a phenomenon that was happening way back in the pilot episode. Yes, they had to use the combined power of course, also Sora. That was the first grimoire. She's there too. And also, apparently, him, when he transformed, he kind of defeated her in kind of a very odd fashion. He pretty much transformed into a demon lord. A very scary version with a crack on his face. Hedry did the same thing later on when she showed up alive and well, though she showed up later on in episode 11, during the last few minutes of the episode. They're able to escape the world, no problem, though the school was pretty much in ruin. So apparently, Hedry was responsible for what happened to that school. Okay, what happened to the students? Never explained, just that the school was destroyed. So then, of course, they try to head back, and of course, they cut to back to school, where we see Levy fighting another woman who's first you see this Thunder God where she's attacking the school. In the manga, this portion of the battle is actually not seen, because in the manga, it goes straight to the battle between Levy and the Thunder Goddess. In the show, they actually show her first up in the air, basically blasting down the school. They're lucky enough Yuri manages to transport all the students to her dream world, which, kudos, basically, she did that. And then we had the fight between Levy and Thunder Goddess, which goes okay, and then, of course, they imply that she unleashes her final element, but doesn't really, just find a way to get away, though, because she was actually really wounded. Though they fire again using tripwire. This is typical ninja stuff. And Trinity basically just gets out of the dream world because she can. Because while Yuri has to stay to protect the students, which kudos to the fact that they keep that there. Of course, that fight with Levy actually now that starts off in episode 11. Yep. Now they did fight again in the hallway, which apparently they ended up opening up a hole in the floor, which leads into the nurse's office, which I'm like, how the heck is that even possible? Since when is the nurse's office underneath this hallway? Yeah, that means that this school is very, very, this has a weird, architectural design. I mean, appearance-wise, people might mistake this place for a big, humongous mansion, or similar to the fact of the Xavier Institute from Marvel comic books. Just with different just with a shade of blue. That's because that particular school had a reputation for being frequently destroyed. As of currently, the school is gone. It was destroyed via the first arc of Matthew Rosenberg's run for Uncanny X-Men, called X-Men Disassembled. Now, and then of course then we have Serena, where she uses her camera to swap places with her sister. Though she's able to basically have her chest go bigger because Lisa's got bigger chest. And this is so hilarious. And then the portal opens up, when all of a sudden first Hadria shows up. Of course, she's got the crack face too, because she's basically become a Demon Lord candidate. And that portal opens up, she tells the other guys, don't stand there. And then, of course, there goes Arden, right on top of her, ends up groping her. Yes, he gropes her. And then, of course, you have Lilith on top of him. Then Aren. And, of course, you have Mary being held in her basically in the arms of Anko. It's very heavily implied that these two sort of had... It's kind of basically mildly implied these two might be an actual couple. But they're probably really good friends. I mean, it's not as obvious like it was in Black Clover, where anybody can tell, yeah, those two were a lesbian couple. These two are probably just really good friends. Yeah. And, of course, then she spots Serena. Serena is no, wait. Your breasts are bigger. You're Lisa. And Serena's what? You can tell the difference between the two of us by our breast size? Wow. That's hilarious. And then, of course, and the episode ends basically him doing a fist bump toward Hedria. Says, we're going to win. We're not bringing our counterattack. And then the very next episode, we have all the mages transforming into their Magus modes. Every single one does. And then begins sort of a very brief brawl. Also, the headmaster is basically about... Now, here's the thing. He doesn't do anything in these episodes. Mainly because he's a freaking paladin. And, of course, there's a mysterious woman. Oh yeah, I've got a date with her, so you two basically battle it out. And of course, they reveal that this woman's actually the headmaster of one of the other schools, who's become part of the organization Iscariot. Evil mages. And they point out, though, if these two ever fight, it would end up destroying the whole freaking planet. Which, yeah, that's actually a pretty good idea. Don't fight. So, the best thing you can do is basically be the audience. Just watch this awesome fight. And it's a damn good fight. Though basically, Arn's able, RTS basically is able to free Hydri from her Demon Lord form, and basically is very thankful to her. He doesn't hate her at all for what the stuff she's done, basically, and well, and of course, well, she basically solved the world. Now they don't really show it here in the anime because in the manga, like they show like, oh yeah, he's gonna destroy the world when he's his Demon Lord form, and you have all the members of Trinity 7 all completely naked at his feet. Well, basically they're all like sharing a bed together, and she basically wants to prevent the destruction of the world. From what I can tell, Arna he does not want to do that at all. So, and of course, well, she of course fades away, but the headmistress from the other school says, we'll take care of her, and he says, please do that. Please take good care of her, and I will rescue her. That basically says that something basically happens a little bit later on in the manga. And that wraps up that, but that does not end the episode there. Yeah, that fight actually wraps up like halfway through episode 12. The rest of the episode is taken directly from the 30th chapter series, which is also numbered as chapter 29. Excuse me, where Lilith takes Arnon on a shopping trip. Now, normally something like this would not be covered in the anime. Not really, no. Because normally something like this might be covered in OVA, or they just might end it basically with the thing getting away. My guess is the reason why that 7 arcs basically Pictures decided to adapt this chapter for this episode, because they wanted to end the series on a happy note. And since this is actually just a non-action chapter, they figured though, just throw it in. And don't make any changes to it. From what I can tell, there's very little change to it. I mean, the only change I think they made to it was like a little bit toward the very end of the episode. So they're invited on a shopping. Lilith invites are on a shopping trip. Goes around town, and of course they stop at the cafe where Mirren works, and she's embarrassed to see him. Of course, Anko's like, "Hey man, what's up?" And of course they go shopping at places, and of course then they sit down on the bench, and of course get this, the most of the Trinity 7, with exception, basically 5 members of the Trinity 7 are basically watching the whole time. Also, Yuri in the manga refers to Arna as Big Brother. In the anime, she doesn't do that at all. Though Arna still refers to him both in the manga and the anime as husband. Yes, she does still refer to him as that, so in case you're wondering, that part of her character was not changed for the anime. Especially for the English dub for the series. So, then basically it's like, Arna gives Lilith a gift. Basically a special this anti-magic crystal protect basically from evil magic. Which, because he doesn't want anything bad to happen to Lilith, and she does tell Arna that all the 27 love him. Though one basically really does. I'm not going to say who. Because it's actually revealed just prior to the most recent arc in the manga that she's actually in love with the main character. So they eventually, all the girls just pop out. And it's like everyone's like they couldn't wait any longer, and all hug on. It's like, and the episode ends basically, let's go get something to eat. Let's go to Mirren's Cafe, and that's pretty much where the episode ends. Kudos for the anime for doing this, basically throwing this shopping chapter. Which, not the first series I basically seen do this, where you have just a couple characters just taking a relaxing day off, just go out shopping, go around town. This is not the first series I've seen this in. This has also been seen in the Aztec War. Let's see, there's been a few others. There's Dragon Academy that's happening. I may or may not review this series at some point. It's possible. I've watched it. It's an odd series to watch. Yeah, I will be probably discussing in the future, but probably not right now. Let's see. Shopping trip episode. Let's see. Bleach? No, not that I can think of. They never had one of these. In one of the movies they did, but not in one of the episodes. One Piece? Mostly. I think there may have been a filler episode basically did this, but not that I remember. Naruto never did this at all. Boruto, yes, it did this for one of the episodes, one of the more recent episodes of the series. Trying to think here. Overlord? No, Overlord never did this. What about Death March for Rhapsody? That one, yes, that one did have one like that. What about Is It Wrong to Rose Dungeon? Let me think here. Actually, no, I can't think of an episode where they actually did that. I think they may do that. I think they may have done that in the most recent light novel release in Japan, which I haven't read it yet because it's not been translated yet. I know 15's been translated. As a matter of fact, it was released just a week ago. I'm trying to think, was there any other series this happened in? My Hero, kind of, yes, it did. Mostly leading up to the camping trip, the forced training arc. Yeah, before they went to camping. I'm trying to think, was any other series this happened in? The only I think this happened like one-off episode for Hunter x Hunter, but that's simply it. Hasn't happened in a lot of anime I watch, but I always kind of like this stuff because it feels like a bit of slice of life, which this happens in a lot of slice of life episodes. Happen in it happened in a couple of the other anime I watch this year, like My Girlfriend's a Slutty Virgin, and of course My First Girlfriend's a Gal. They had episodes like this, and kudos. Okay, so not much else to say about the main series of Trinity 7. It's really good. Surprisingly, very little change in the manga. Yeah, that's something though. Oh yeah, and also that Lilith basically thinks that Artemis is going to kiss her, but nope, just give the crystal. She doesn't say anything in the manga as well. I would say the only change they made was having the Thunder Goddess basically attacking the school. That was the only thing they added in the anime because, like, if you read the chapter that this is adapted from, it just cuts straight to the fight between Lilith and her, which I appreciate them adding that in. But not much else to say about this. Trinity 7 has been a pretty fun series to watch, so as of reviewing this particular, the last 4 episodes, the main series is done. What's left? 1 OVA and 2 movies. Now, the next episode for this series, I'm going to discuss the OVA for the one, and the 2 after that, discussing each of the 2 films. But our next video is actually a review of Attack on Titan. I'm going to watch that, review it, and then discuss, and then go straight to Black Clover, watch that, and I may get time to review the OVA tonight. If not, I'll review it tomorrow, okay? See you next video. Bye.